Good evening. Welcome to Planet Word. My name is Britt Oates, Manager of Public Programs, and on behalf of myself and the entire Planet Word team, we're so excited to welcome you all to tonight's programming event. This is Planet Word's second annual Patty Isacson Sabee Word Fellowship Lecture with Dr. Carla Hayden, 14th Librarian of Congress, on the state of reading and libraries today. And she'll be in conversation with Ron Charles of the Washington Post. I know, right? And now, to introduce our esteemed guests, please join me in welcoming Planet Word's founder and CEO, Ann Friedman.
Thank you, Britt. As Britt said, this is our second annual Patty Isacson Sabee Word Fellowship talk tonight. This fellowship was established to honor our very first executive director, Patty Isacson Sabee, who's here with us tonight. You want to stand up, Patty? Everything good about Planet Word was thanks to her initiating great ideas, so I really owe everything to her. By honoring people doing outstanding work in the fields of journalism, literature, poetry, education, or writing, we aim to choose people who also exemplify the characteristics and traits that Patty brought to work every day. Among them, leadership, curiosity, expertise, integrity, grit, compassion, fearlessness, tireless energy, and an entrepreneurial, innovative mindset, to name just a few. Last year, we honored Judy Woodruff for her impeccable, illuminating career in public broadcasting and her search for community in our current civic life. And thank you for being here with us tonight, Judy. This year, our august honoree is Carla Hayden, the 14th Librarian of Congress, the first African American and first woman to hold that position, and also the first professional librarian to hold the post since 1974. Dr. Hayden's unwavering advocacy for access to books and her belief in the central role that a library can play in a community are largely why we honor her here today. But she's accomplished so much more in a life devoted to public service, literacy, and the freedoms we enjoy under the First Amendment. Her career began at the Chicago Public Library after she earned degrees in political science, African history, and library science from Roosevelt University and the University of Chicago. She served as CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore from 1993 to 2016, where she modernized the system and expanded services. As president of the American Library Association from 2003 to 2004, she advocated for privacy in response to the USA Patriot Act. Appointed Librarian of Congress by President Obama in 2016, she focused on modernizing the institution and increasing accessibility, and she initiated huge steps towards achieving those goals. She is now a senior fellow at the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, where she continues to promote libraries, archives, and access to ensure that the transformative power of information remains accessible to all. This evening, Dr. Hayden will be in conversation with Ron Charles, the well-known book reviewer for the Washington Post, producer of the Post Book Club newsletter, and the book critic for CBS's Sunday Morning. So we're so privileged to hear from both of them, and I welcome them to the stage. Thank you.
I am so glad you're here.
Oh, and well, I read you all the time,
Thank
and
you.
now I'll be able to read more. And then to see some colleagues and friends here, it just means so much. So I thank you all for.
I'm delighted. When Ann asked me to do this, I'm sure she could hear my answer from my office across the street. I was just thrilled. I want to start at the very beginning, and I want you to tell me about your first experience with libraries. Go way back to the beginning.
Oh my. Well, I remember going to what I didn't realize at the time. I thought it was like a palace, a book palace. It was in Springfield, Illinois. I visit my grandparents during the summer. And Miss Pendergrass went to their church, and she was a librarian, and they thought this kid likes to read and everything. And so she worked at the state library in Springfield. And I went to the state library. Didn't know, but it was like a book palace. And Miss Pendergrass, though, also had squirreled away books about African Americans.
These were not out
and
on the
black.
shelves?
Oh, no. It was those. I'm a little older than I might look. So, no, they weren't out on the shelf. But she had them and collected them and made them accessible when people would ask and things. And so I got to look at books that had people that looked like me too. So that was really something. And then a storefront branch in Queens, New York, and different. But that idea of a book palace was something.
You eventually were in charge of a book palace. We'll get to that later. Did your mom let you read whatever you want, or was she pretty
yes.
hands-on?
No, she wanted to read what she would read, and she was so glad when I learned to read for myself, and we would sit together, and then I knew something was wrong, though, because I was reading aloud, and I couldn't wait so I could read silently, and we could sit there and read together.
Nice. Was there a moment when you realized, hey, being a librarian is a thing that I could be?
It took a long time.
Really?
Because I love books and reading in the libraries, but that was my safe place and wonderful place and everything. But I didn't realize how it all happened.
Right.
It was just there.
Yes.
And it was only until, and my colleague is here, and he says, yeah, you have to just tell the truth that I'm an accidental librarian. So they mentioned, and thank you for that lovely introduction, mentioned my undergrad and everything, and so I did that. And while I was thinking about if I should go to graduate school or what should I do, that same dear mother said, why don't you think about some employment?
Parents.
As you're thinking. Okay, and so I would go on job interviews where they said, oh, you had great grades. I didn't work, so I didn't have work experience, and so they would send me away. And so in between those interviews, I would go to the Central Library in Chicago, and one of my classmates that had just graduated came in and said, hey, are you here for those library jobs? They're hiring anybody. And so what I didn't know at the time, but libraries still do this, they hire people with different undergraduate degrees, and then they're called library associates, basically. And you are introduced to the profession, and then they hope you will go on. And
like
I
an
was,
apprentice of some kind.
yeah. And so I was put on the south side of Chicago in a storefront branch with a young lady who was going to graduate library school. And I thought, oh, wow. But she was having story time with children with autism. She was wearing jeans, and the people were coming into that branch handing us their prescriptions from their clinic, and we would. There are a few people who might remember the physician's desk reference book that we'd look up because we were the source of information. And I said, wow, this library. And then you select books. And so I really started to understand. And I went to apply at the University of Chicago, where fun goes to die. That is our motto. Anybody that knows University of Chicago, that is the motto. It's the unofficial motto. Yeah. And we're proud of it. We don't have sports. We don't do anything. Student center is the library, Regenstein.
What is that in Latin? I wonder if you could put it on a...
And we would know. We would know. And this is full confession. I was rejected.
Wow.
I know. And the lady that was the dean was Peggy Sullivan.
A name that
Somebody
shall live in
said,
infamy.
yes, no, someone, I could tell there's library people here that know she was off. And she said, I don't think you have what it takes to be a librarian. And I have to admit, I walked out of there and said, what does it take? This is library school. How hard can it be? So I went home, talked to my mom, and she said, go on back. Obviously you need to show something. And so I went back and talked to Miss Sullivan and said, I want to help people. I've had a background, and my mom was a social worker too, did everything, and I really want to be there to help people. And she said, that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And throughout my career, whenever Peggy would be in the front row of some of the things, I would tense up. But that's what they were really saying, that it's not just providing the books and the materials. You have to sometimes fight for those materials to be there, or you have to fight for the people who can't for themselves.
Right. Skipping over a lot, eventually you became the head of the Pratt Library in Baltimore.
Yes, I was just there last night.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
It's the first public library system in the United States. And Enoch Pratt was a contemporary of several gentlemen in Mr. Hopkins, Mr. Peabody in Baltimore at a certain time, and they each picked an institution to support. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Pratt said a free library because of his experiences in New England. And Andrew Carnegie came down to Baltimore, and they still talk about that. It was in the paper that to see what Mr. Pratt had done in Baltimore, because he established a central library and then 4 branches at the same time. Mm-hmm. And he said, my library shall be for all, regardless of color or creed. And in Baltimore in 1870, that was pretty something. And Mr. Carnegie went away and started really developing his program.
That was his inspiration?
That was, and he said it in his book, The Gospel of Wealth. And he has a section about Mr. Pratt and how that public-private partnership was a great model.
I didn't realize.
Any interest?
He went on to build about 2,500 libraries.
Yes, and the Carnegie Corporation, our foundation, is actually celebrating his gifts this year.
Wonderful. And tell us about, why is that library important to that community now?
Oh my goodness. Last night I was there. There was the dedication of it was the H.L. Mencken Room. Those of you in newspapers, that, to now the Dwayne Wickham Room, who was the first African-American USA Today columnist for 30-something years. And so the Mencken collection's still there, so don't worry. People have, but it really reflected. And Dwayne Wickham talked about being introduced to curiosity at a storefront at the Pennsylvania Avenue branch in Baltimore at a story time. And this lady read to him and read to the children, and he developed this why. What do you call it? You
The 5 W's of journalism.
tell them.
Oh, you know.
They might not know. I didn't know.
Well, there's so many esteemed journalists here. I'm not going to get them right. Where, why, when, who, what. There we go.
Okay.
We did it together.
All right. And he said that story, it just opened, and that's where his curiosity, he wanted to read more, and he wanted to do that, and it was just a moment. But in that city, and I've worked in other cities with libraries, that there's almost a visceral connection that library system connected. When I first went to Baltimore, I knew, I didn't know the city, I knew the library because it's legendary. It was the first library to offer services to teenagers.
Oh, wow.
And treat them with respect. And the textbook we had in library school was called The Fair Garden Library and the Swarm of Beasts. It was the teenagers. And every person I met when I first got to Baltimore had a Pratt library story. The senators, the people in the grocery store, everybody could talk about their branch. They knew their librarians and everything. And even today, when I go, they still just call me the library lady.
When I was interviewing librarians in Dallas and Nashville, I heard stories I'd never heard before about how much is demanded of librarians.
Yes.
Of course, they get information and books for people, but they are first responders, they're counselors, they're social workers, they're job counselors. They're just doing a lot.
They're taking on quite a few of the social services in many communities.
Yes.
And when I was at the Pratt Library several weeks ago, in the daytime, they had tables with those social services. The lawyer in the library, you can get your passport,
right.
You can register to vote. You can also, they have, in traveling around in different libraries, you can see that they call it Beyond Books. You can check out instruments, you can check out sewing machines, you can check out, the one that stumped me with traffic cones.
Check out your own traffic cones?
This was in Michigan. So I kind of, okay. But I thought at first it was construction. They think if you are doing construction or something in your house or something, you want some cones or something, and if you're teaching your young people how to drive.
Yes, that's good.
Hadn't thought about that.
No, that's
you can
good.
check out that. So it's just something that librarians are taking this on. And so in this time, and they've always been trusted sources
Right.
in communities. That's why the current challenges and being part of a broader cultural war environment, whatever you want to call it, is very difficult for them.
Is it too, I mean, they're saintly people in general, I think, but is it too much?
Oh, they could get, no.
Are we asking too,
No.
Are we
We have,
are we asking
we
too
have
much of them?
feisty fighters for freedom.
I totally
We've been
agree.
called that. No, we
But-
can be, and we,
But should
Yes.
cities be essentially dumping their social services onto these trained librarians? Is it fair? Is it something should be done?
right. Now we're in Washington. It's something, though, that librarians have done in different ways throughout. They have been that resource. The immigrant communities. Libraries were the places in so many communities. Rural areas, they've always had to be that and be everything. So it's not, our difficulty is we might take on too much.
Yes.
So prom dress checkouts.
Right.
Oh yeah, prom dress checkouts
Love it.
and things like that. Because you want to help, and it's of course it's always been what's in the books.
Right.
The books they're vehicles, and then when you free them from that thing, that container, it's still the ideas and things like that, and they recognize that.
How do you prepare city librarians emotionally for what they're going to be taking on?
Well, that was what Ms. Sullivan was trying to tell me about. And it's not just the city librarians. It's think about being in a rural area where you are the only source, and when a young person comes in and they're having difficulties at home, but this is the only place where they're not judged and they can be around other people. And so you see that and you sense that. And so you do have to develop a way of thinking that this is your public service too.
Right.
We can't all do it, but if you can do it with things that you appreciate and love, then that's a way to help.
What do you say to people who say we don't really need libraries anymore? Because
Oh, they say that all the
everything's
time.
online, you know?
I know, and it's all true. Isn't it? Well, this is our time, and we have also other T-shirts and mugs that say librarians, the original search engines.
Nice.
Okay?
Nice.
And we do that because we are a trusted source.
Yes.
And they know we're not in it for the money. Whenever, my favorite is when you see those commercials and you see a librarian going wild, you know you want whatever it is. Because if a librarian goes wild, you got to get it. So that aspect of people do still, the whole idea of the third place.
Right.
And the safe place. And so now community libraries are being called opportunity centers. There are all kinds of things. They have to build in quiet rooms now and places because they're so busy in so many communities. So there is still a need in communities to have a place where people can, even if you're not talking to another person, but to just be in a space with them, people are seeking that out even more.
So the availability of all information online at all times is not an existential threat to libraries.
No, I don't think so. And that threat has been there. Oh, and when the computer, I was part of the library cohort in the 70s and the late 80s. Oh, our conferences, we were fraught. It was like, is this going to be it with that? And I think that what has happened is we've attracted different people from different areas into the profession. Before, it was more people who had English backgrounds and second careers, used to be teachers and things. And now we've got the techies, the young techies coming in, and some of my former colleagues are here, and they're designing things and making them interesting. So we're attracting, there's still that public service or that aspect of it, but it's how can we help in the age of misinformation? How can we still be that trusted source?
Right, right.
So more activism is coming in.
When President Obama came to you and asked you to be the Librarian of Congress, what concerns did you have about taking that job?
Oh, this is like true confession all the way, isn't it? Because I did wonder. I was part of my predecessor, Dr. James Billington, and I knew him and I knew his staff. I knew a lot of the people at the Library of Congress were my colleagues. Announced his retirement after 28 years, a very distinguished career, and he was a scholar and all, then the Library of Congress still is premier research and reference library. The administration at that time, because it's a presidential nomination, asked a group of librarians, what could the Library of Congress be going forward?
Okay.
And I was part of that group. And any of you have consulted and been on it, watch out, because you might have to do it. So we talked term limits, that you might want to think about that because the profession is changing. So they did.
That was a new idea, term limits.
For that position,
Yeah.
because it was like the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And the library profession, we were saying things are changing. You might want to think about it. You can renew a term, so it's a 10-year term with the possibility of renomination and all of that. But we thought that was that, or that we should open up the library
To the public.
to the general public.
Yikes.
I know.
Hoi polloi.
But our point was, why have a reader's card at 16 if you don't want the 16-year-olds in there? who did that? And so we were really saying you need to do it, and you also need to have a space to introduce young people to reference and research.
Yes.
They're history detectives. They love it. And so in this spring, there's going to be a space called The Source, and the young people named it. And we scouted Planet Word. We were here, and Nikki knows, and Ann knows, and we did the shop. We did the shop. And it's going to be, because this is such a testament to what can happen with creativity. And
Yes.
it's gorgeous. And so we were over here and looking and talking and working with, thinking of how can we have a space that respects what the Library of Congress is, a reference and research library, and have a space for young people.
To be clear, this was all before you'd been appointed.
This was after, when we really, we talked about the concept of having a dedicated or a space for young people was when the library community was saying it would be helpful if you had something that was very targeted. And so it was my privilege to be able to then help say, well, here's what we could do. And the first thing we did was get a youth advisory board.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. The 7 to 11 group, we called them.
Yes.
And they met a lot of during the pandemic. They were very good at Zoom. They did it. We had congressional grandchildren and children and all from all over the country. And it's really jump-started when we had a young gentleman, Adam, who sent me a letter on notepaper in green ink. I come from a public library background, so when you get letters like that, that's not always a good thing. So I have to tell you, we would get the letters from other people. But Adams had this letter, and he said, I hear you talking about the Library of Congress, and I've seen you, and it's so wonderful. But I note that you have to be 16 to get a card, and I am 8. And he questioned, did we think that young people could not treat the materials well, that they could, and all that. And so we contacted Adam. He became part of the group. He will be there at the opening.
Oh, what a thrill.
And but that guiding force that he was saying, we can respect things, but we want to know. You've said all this stuff about it. Why can't we see it?
That's lovely.
Yeah.
The whole time I've observed you and then got to know you, you have been patient and gentle and kind, but you're in charge of an organization of what, 3,600 people? It's a budget of some $800 million.
Well, it got up to 928
That's
at the last.
so. What does it take to manage that kind of organization?
Well, managing is also a matter of scale, and there are certain principles that are the same. And then when you have scale, you have to really look at your team
Yes.
and the people that are on the team and connect with them. But also you have to do much more in terms of being accessible. So going to the cafeteria, Taco Tuesdays. I was there, but you learn a lot.
Just being available.
Going to the restroom, going down the halls, walking around, being accessible.
Showing up.
Showing up, being at the award shows, doing that, learning. You learn a lot of just being there and talking to people and being approachable and that. And so just trying to connect. And then I had the best principal deputy librarian, Mark Sweeney, who was like the inside guy and had been with the library for 39 years and knew everybody. And he was a trusted person too. And he was able to help as well. And we divided things up.
Nice.
And he did the international, and I concentrated on the national. So I went to Wyoming and Mississippi twice and this and that, and I did the United States.
I mean, they had no reason to tell me otherwise. Everyone I know who worked for you adored you.
Oh, well, there were a couple. But the good thing about that, there was one of the, and I have to confess, this is like therapy. Just confessing. But I haven't read all of the letters and the cards because it's difficult.
I bet.
And I have them all spread out, and some I've read and everything. But my favorite was from a docent who had been with the library for years, and then she became a docent, and she said, "Dear Dr. Hayden, I did not agree with all of your decisions." And then she put in parentheses the decision she's still working on to have reversed. However, you brought joy and to the staff, and I appreciate you in that. And that's my favorite.
Yeah,
That's
she's
my
right.
favorite
She's
because
right.
you don't have to agree with everything,
Right.
but to have that humanity.
People knew you were treating their
Right.
differences with respect.
Right.
In
And I
ni-
will see how successful she is.
And take you back. In 1931, a guy named James Adams published a book called The Epic of America.
Yes, in that chapter.
I'm going to
You
read
know
this
that.
quote.
Read it.
As one looks down on the general reading room, which alone contains 10,000 volumes, which may be read by everyone without asking, one sees the seats filled with silent readers, old and young, rich and poor, black and white, the executive and the laborer, the general and the private, the noted scholar, the schoolboy, all reading at their own library, provided by their own democracy. It has always seemed to me to be a perfect working out in a concrete example of the American dream.
Yes, it's a wonderful, and
Such
I
a
have a
passage.
copy of the 1931 book, and then in I can't remember, it's a new book that talks about the public good, and it
Quotes this.
quotes this.
It's Walter Isaacson's new book about the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, he quoted it again.
He quoted it
Oh,
too.
another one. Yes,
So-
the merit of good. I think. It's
Yeah. So how did you work to make that a reality? How did you open up the library? That was
And
one of
that
your
was
main
that
goals.
was the part because I really didn't think I respected the Library of Congress. I knew it, but with my background in public access and all of that teaching at University of Pittsburgh and all of this, I didn't see how I could contribute to the Library of Congress. I really didn't.
Right?
And then I had that ultimate job interview
Yes.
with the then president,
Yes.
who said, "I've seen the contents of Abraham Lincoln's pockets the night he was assassinated. I've seen Thomas Jefferson's draft of the Declaration of Independence, where he crossed out subject and put in citizens with footnotes or little notes from B.F., Benjamin Franklin, and John Adams." And he went on with all. He said, "But I think a lot of that had to do with who I am." And he said, "What could you do to open up this treasure chest for the American people?" I thought, I might be able to do that. Might be able to do that. So I
What sort of things
started.
did you do?
Well, as soon as I was sworn in, I started, and my colleague is here, Roswell Encina, who is a communications genius, you would say? I don't know. I started on social media. And don't worry, I didn't do it. They wouldn't let me touch anything because I might accidentally like something or do something. So it was controlled. It was controlled. But I said, I'm going on an adventure. Even though I'm a librarian for all these years, I don't even know what's in the Library of Congress. And so we started posting, and different things would come up. A curator found some Diane Arbus contact sheets from when she was working at Social Security Administration and came up to the office, and all these things. And so we started posting
Just
and
letting
doing
the public
things.
know.
Letting the public know. And then the best part is you start watching and they're saying, well, what else does the Library of Congress have? and then they put in, and really working to let people know that this is your library, and the photographs that you can download for free.
Right.
Harriet Tubman's, the first known photograph of Harriet Tubman, we purchased that with the National African American Museum. Went in together and put it in the public domain. So that movie about Harriet Tubman,
Yes.
at the end of the movie, and she's posing for that photograph, that's the photograph.
Oh.
And they have that photograph has been used on so many things, even fingernails. Yeah, decals on fingernails.
Oh.
I bought a pair, not. But to just see that, and that's what we wanted everybody to know. This is your.
It just started with information, letting people know it's
Just
there.
letting them know.
It changed the way we respond to the library.
Right,
You
and
see
so
people pouring
building for
into
the first time a treasures gallery, a permanent treasures gallery. And so I was able to see that. We had three parts that are going to be the treasures gallery last spring, the first time. So, and the first thing, and I got to help install the contents of Abraham Lincoln's pockets in there. So now you can see the two spectacles in that. And you can see the Blackwell family tree that's almost this big. A lady had researched for years and years at the Library of Congress, African American family, and Arthur Ashe was one of their relatives, and they put, and she for years, she worked from 1970s, and she put that in silver. So when it opened, and that's there, and the family, Blackwell family members came. They had heard about this because they knew, and they were able to trace the young man had the death certificates and marriage certificates from his family, and he was able to look at the age on there, and because Arthur Ashe, you know what age he was, he could find then his relatives, and then another African American family came up at the same time. It was really got me because they were Blackwells too, but they had met.
Right.
And then the grandmother of the one group said, "Yeah, they look like Blackwell," you know. And but that right there in that same gallery, this family could find themselves.
Right.
And then there's Abraham Lincoln, and it was just that was like, okay.
You were also the prime mover behind what I think is the library's finest exhibit, the Two Georges. You worked on that for 9
A long
years?
time. Yeah.
Almost from
It
the
was.
moment
It was.
you
I
arrived.
inherited it, and it was like, and it was hard because it was George III, and it was the Royal Archives. We got to go to Windsor and all that. Something. I learned realty, but they were opening up the Royal Archives for the first time, and they've digitized. It's really phenomenal. And the idea was, in working with William and Mary College and scholars and that, to have an exhibit to show that our George and George III were actually reading some of the same books at the same time because they were into horticulture and
Studying the
all
same
of that.
sciences.
The same things, and that, so these men, and you get the sense they could have been friends.
Right.
Or colleagues,
Right.
and how that, and at the end it does end well because I think it was Adams, that the ambassador, the first U.S. ambassador, presented his papers to George III. So that's how it ends with that.
Yeah. If you
But
haven't
that
seen
was
this,
it's
must go.
the Two Georges, and so that, and then because of a lot of the delays, it's going to go to the Science Museum
in London.
because they have the collection of George III's scientific instruments. They loaned some for the Two Georges, but they have all of his things because he was really
Right.
he knew that something was wrong.
Yeah.
And we had those letters in there too.
Yeah, it's a remarkable exhibit. You should be so proud of that. Well, let's talk about something none of us should be proud of, and that is the epidemic of book banning across America. Which you've
Well, I think I mentioned that this is amplified in a way. Librarians have always had challenges in banning, and every year we have book ban week, and that's been something. But this one is a little bit more intense in terms of being part of a larger,
Right.
it seems to be,
The numbers
effort.
are exponentially larger.
Right. And so that makes it a little more difficult because it's not really based on the books as much
Right.
as it was before. And so librarians are getting death threats. All types of things are happening.
Yeah.
And our talk about therapy sessions are conferences that's really, depending on where you are geographically, it's more intention. So there's a real effort to try to support each other and the communities.
Yeah.
And they really emphasize too that it helps if people, and sometimes it's not as attractive to be on this library board
Right.
as it is the school board, but please, if you could be on a board or go be the friends of the library and testify that maybe you want your child, we have new T-shirts and bags, free people read freely,
Right.
that it's you or as a person, as a parent, caregiver, you have every right to determine what your child can do, from what they wear to what they eat to everything and what they read. But you don't have the right to determine what other people's children can read or write.
And we've seen again and again in small towns and large towns that
Yes.
people fighting back, people coming together and saying,
Yes.
no, I want my library to be free,
Yes,
works.
it does, because that's when there's you have to take a stand somewhere.
Right.
And if you can't provide that environment for young people to have those trusted sources, to have that inspiration to do that, what are we doing?
Right. And disproportionately, the books that are banned involve LGBTQ characters or authors or people of color.
Yes,
Yeah. So it's a nasty movement.
it's not pleasant. And it's a long way from Judy Blume's Forever.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and Harry Potter because of witchcraft.
Yeah.
You know, that, because we loved Harry Potter, to see kids lined up
Yeah.
at midnight for a book with no pictures. Librarians, we loved Harry Potter. And we loved Captain Underpants, who was just phenomenal. And so reading differences and realizing that people interact with text in different ways, and some can hear and some can visual, is just the freedom to read.
Right.
Is
And
what you want.
people must ask you, they ask me all the time, what can we do to fight this? And I tell them, show up.
Show up.
Go to those meetings. Speak.
Show up.
Testify about your own experience.
Right. And if you have an opportunity to purchase books, I was just with the Random House Children's Division this morning talking about it, and they were asking, what can we do? And what said, bring those authors and illustrators out into communities so that kids can meet an author or an illustrator. That's so inspiring for them
Right.
to see that. And the main thing about that opportunity, too, is don't forget the school buses. They cost. I don't know how much they are now, about $300-400 a bus. And that's a school bus fund. If you can help, that's really the critical part, because it's getting those buses to bring the kids to a museum, to bring the kids to a library. Yeah, that is one of the biggest. They said, yeah, we'd like to come, but we don't have the money for the bus.
Great idea. Well, it's in some ways a grim and challenging time.
Yeah, but there's hope in history.
That's what I want to. That's what I want to ask you.
You have to look. Alberto Menguel, The History of Reading, and I say it. He's got each chapter is about when they used to chain up the books because there were only one copies. The development of optics and glasses, and every chapter is something else. But the chapter about forbidden reading
Yes.
says that, paraphrasing, as centuries of dictators, tyrants, slave owners, and other illicit holders of power have always known, an illiterate crowd is the easiest to rule. And if you cannot prevent people from learning to read, the next best recourse is to limit its scope. And then it goes to book banning and all over the time because there's something powerful. There's something in there.
You seem genuinely full of hope.
I am, because I'm seeing people start to wake up and say, wait a minute, books? Come on. We want, yes, and the younger people are getting involved. And that's what's inspiring, because let's be honest, some of us are getting tired. Okay? It's nice to see the younger people getting involved and saying people read freely, and being at the American Library Association conference and seeing young librarians with hair different colors and doing, and they know how to do everything, and they're blogging and all that, and it's like, it's exciting, and it's good, and they bring that to, there's a young man, I can't remember his name, but he's this librarian superstar on the internet. Yeah, you even know. Yes. I saw him at the conference, and he's just the nicest young man.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And he's just wonderful.
It's like 10 million followers on Instagram. Yeah.
He loves libraries, and they're following him.
Right.
A librarian.
Well, you seem untired and undimmed in every way.
No, it's been, and I had to kind of think about what is this, what was my personal journey about, and I said, wow, I'm now getting an opportunity to work with folks at the Mellon Foundation who have always been committed to the arts and humanities and doing some great things, and they have a group called the Public Knowledge Group. I love that name, and working with them about how to keep lifting up voices and people. So it's been energizing for me, and my goal is to learn how to do a Zoom call. If I can do that,
you'll master that.
okay, we get there.
Would you take some questions from the audience?
Oh, sure.
There are a couple moving mics. Wave your hand around. It's harder to see you than you think, and someone will bring you a mic.
And I'm also my own administrative assistant now, and I'm on probation. I might get fired real soon.
First of all, I just wanted to say I've really enjoyed your discussion. I wanted to ask a couple things, Dr. Hayden. First, do you have a favorite library that you visited anywhere in the world? And if so, why is it your favorite? And also, I hope to start an MLIS program next year, so if you have any advice.
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends on, we'll talk afterwards, okay? Because it depends on what you want to think you want to do, and who you want to work with, and yeah, so we have to
I'll come find you.
Yeah, that's up.
But your favorite library?
Well, I like them all for different reasons, and that's the cool part, because I haven't been, we were talking about the Book of Chaos. I haven't been to the Bodleian.
In Dublin.
Yeah, okay, I'd love to go there, but the Bodleian, I'd like to go there. I've done a lot of things there. The Bibliothèque Nationale has just opened up its Treasures Gallery, and they have in their main reading room a children's section in that research library. I know, it's crazy. But then the smaller libraries too, that are like little gyms. And you have one or two people that work there, and they're doing that. Yeah, and they're just really, really cool. So I just like going to just different libraries.
Nice.
Seeing them.
Hello. I just want to say thank you. As a civil servant myself, I always appreciate how you approach your work. And what you said today always reminds me, what I do and who I'm helping. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm getting a little emotional saying that. I want to ask you, I'm a person that I develop tools and create technology to help people access different services for a local government. And I was curious, what is the most interesting tool you've seen in your lifetime or currently that you think has helped people engage with libraries, engage with reading, engage with books, that you think has been the most impactful that you've seen?
Well, you have to, the computer technology has been a game changer in so many communities because you have e-government, and in many communities, that's the public library in particular is the only place you can go and sit and with a high-speed computer, and you can print out forms and do all of that. That has been remarkable. In Baltimore, for instance, they had a 2-week opportunity for people to sign up for Section 8 housing. It was all online. So it's like an oxymoron, right? 2 weeks that the librarians took some training. They set aside computers. They had it ready so that at 10 o'clock when the clock started, the doors opened, there were people coming in, and the librarians had it ready, and they were helping them, and they knew how to help them. So being able to use those tools and then to have the kids, it's an equalizer. I remember in a branch in Baltimore when we put in these high-speed computers, and I went to one branch and I saw these 2 little girls in the children's room, and they were giggling, and you could tell they were looking at something they weren't supposed to. So I went over, and there was Barbie on a motorcycle with black leather. And I had a Barbie doll years ago, but I said, oh, Barbie has changed. How did you know about the Barbie site? And one of the girls said, I went to this special camp, and the girls there, they had their things, and they were on the Barbie site. And now when I go back, I could say I'm on Barbie site. I thought, now, there's an equalizer for a lot of things, but also the equalizer, yeah, I've been on the Barbie site too. And that's been the game changer, that we can offer a way for kids to do that.
Thank you, Dr. Hayden, for your service. Coming to the National Book Festival year after year, seeing how you have opened up the Library of Congress. It is one of my favorite libraries, and it's been such a joy, so thank you. I'm curious if you, thank you also for the book recommendations today, but is there something that you've read lately that you'd love to put in everyone's hands or that you'd leave with us? I'd really love to add it to my list.
Well, funny you should ask that because they asked that at the Random House thing, and I just happen to have a stack. I still go to bookstores, and it's like a candy shop. So I have the new Toni Morrison. It's Toni at Random, where Toni Morrison as an editor, because I'm kind of dabbling with that. Yeah. Seeing that. The Octavia Butler book, then David McCullough's book about history, and he's such a dear man, and credit to the library. So that, and then there are some really cool things. And Jason Mott, I think that's the title, about 2 African American authors. It's fiction, but it's kind of out there. So there's this stack, and then there are the aspirational books that have to do with exercise and diet. And then there's the ones I'm supposed to read about AI and all that over there. But just go to a bookstore and just have fun. That's the best thing.
For you.
What a fascinating conversation. My question is, in this era of so much disinformation,
Yes.
misinformation, what is the role of the library in keeping us straight on what to believe, what we can count on?
Yeah, that trusted source. And so now the curriculum, and it always was, it used to be called reference. And how do you tell which source is the best source? And so now that's expanded to information literacy, and so that you can help people when they come to the library, even if they're coming remotely, that they're really concentrating on these are the sites that you should go through, especially for health information. That's critical because that's one of the number one topics that people go to libraries for, is health information. And so we really are taking on that even more so, that we have to spend the time to, and that's where that also attracting some of the younger groups or people into the profession, because they're much more savvy and know how to really help us present the information in a way that people can get to it quickly and also know that it's been vetted as much as we can. But it's important that you have that public information highway that people can say, okay, at least someone has looked at this. So we
Thank
got
you so much for this
Oh,
evening's
thank
conversation.
you.
Just such a pleasure to talk to you.
thank you,
Really-
Rob.
Really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Rob. You want us to leave?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Nikki Sertsu, the Executive Director, this is moving, of Planet Word. I just wanted to thank all of you for being here with us tonight for the second annual Patty Isacson Sabee Word Fellowship Talk. Give yourselves a round of applause for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you so much. We hope that you will join us for other programs. Please visit our website and sign up for our newsletter so that you are the first to know about upcoming programs and events at Planet Word. Thank you to Ron Charles for facilitating this very engaging conversation, and thank you to Carla Hayden for sharing your insight, perspective, and wisdom. Let's give them both another round of applause.
We should go on the road.
This is great fun. Great fun. Really enjoyed it.